And welcome on in, everybody, to the Check Your Brain podcast, hosted by me, Tony Mazur, not the one and only Tony Mazur, because that one is on Instagram taking pictures of goats and llamas. This is the Tony Mazur who's up here just, I don't know, doing my podcast, trying to grow it in some way, shape, or form. Here, I appreciate you folks for watching or listening to this. If you're listening to it for free on the podcast platforms, thank you. Continue hitting subscribe, or if this is your first time, you can hit subscribe if you like it. A lot of different podcasts and guests and topics and everything over time. Also on YouTube, I'm growing that channel as well as my free Rumble account. Also, it's on Patreon. If you like what you hear, go to patreon.com/Tony Mazur. And you get early access to guests such as this today. This young lady who's she's kind of been on the radar in my universe with this, like the Compound Media, the Kevin Brennan, Misery Loves Company, Patreon, streaming universe. But kind of got on her radar about like 5 years ago during the This Week in Sex podcast. And she's really grown it. She's she's going on the road with Chrissie Mayr. And that is, and again, we talked about this off the air, but it's either Keanu Thompson or Keanu C Thompson. So which one do you like going by? Because it's kind of both on your social media handles.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you, because I see how I'm used to the damn streaming and StreamYard. It looks like, so I'm looking at you, and so you can see all of me, right?
Yeah. So what's going to happen is then when you talk, it goes over to you, and then when I talk,
me lighting a cigarette like a trash person. I always say Keanu C Thompson because it has like a little ring to it. But when I was on the road with Chrissie, she's like, just do Keanu Thompson, and they were putting our names up on the thing, and I was like, could you take? I look like a douche. Like, I'm not an author. Like, why would I have this C in the middle of my name? But people started calling me Keanu C Thompson because it's my Twitter handle.
Yeah, well, and it seems
a ring
fancier.
to it. Yes.
Yeah, like you said, it seems fancier. Like my real name is Anthony, but I don't go professionally as Anthony, so I'm not going to use my middle name. But if your full name is already there anyways, it's like your boyfriend will enjoy this reference. It's an old Looney Tunes. My name is Elmer J. Fudd, millionaire. I own a mansion and a yacht. So it's like,
he will enjoy that reference. He loves the Looney Tunes, but he's a big Bugs Bunny fan.
Oh yeah, and
4-year-old man. Yes.
We're just children. We're grown-up children in this universe of podcasting, when we have all the podcast wars that are going on, and you realize, like, you and I are kind of, even though we're kind of adjacent to it, because obviously you're invested because you're dating somebody who's involved in it, but you're also on the sidelines looking at it, and we're kind of seeing the podcast wars going, these people are old enough to be our parents.
Absolutely. And I have sex with one of them. It's bizarre. I know. Well, actually, no, like if you want to talk about MLC, even, I have been doing that for years and years, long before I started dating Gino. I think that's the first show I ever did on Compound, was in hot water. Jesus.
Burning Bridges.
Yeah. I did Burning Bridges with Alan Fuchs, who I used to do the Week in Sex with. Which was our podcast. We didn't have sex with each other. We just had porn.
You talked about your liaison.
Yes. I used to do Burning Bridges all the time. And I still think Kevin Brennan loves me. I still think he does. He just has to do this to me. I know he doesn't have anything against me because I've never done anything to him except for date Gino, which is, I find it quite childish, but this is how he gets his views. He just yells and screams, and you can call me Bonely fans and revenge porn me, and post naked photos of me on Twitter, all sorts of things. Yeah.
And speaking of views, you do have your own YouTube channel, and you're putting stuff out there here.
Yes, Keanu Cast. I just started it. My sidekick is my mom, which I didn't plan, but we really have a fun time together. My God. Is
this just on YouTube, or can you find it in other places as well?
No, I just have it. I'm just doing the live. It's live every Wednesday at 7. And then whenever else we feel like it, we do surprise pop-up streams.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. There are the plugs, and any road dates, anything you guys have going on?
Okay. It's always hard for me to remember. Minnesota is for some reason, I just cannot remember this place. We're doing Steel Toes. Steel Toe?
I do know him, yes.
Okay. Steel Toe is having an anniversary party / show at Stoney's in Minnesota in August.
Okay.
I don't know the date, but you can look it up. I think that it's about sold out, Kevin. So that
She
one,
doesn't
and
sell
then
tickets.
I know. No, yeah, Chrissy and I have sold out like, well, it's Chrissy, not me, but I'm on the road with her a lot. Like all the shows we ever do, they're basically sold out. He can't stand it. She sells tickets. That's ridiculous. So I have that coming up and all my other dates. You can follow me on Instagram, Keanu C Thompson, for all of those. We're doing Whipped Wednesday on Compound Media on the show Morning on the 26th. If you want to tune into that, subscribe to Compound. And then I'm gonna be in, I always do these shows in Scranton with Kevin Lepka. Those shows are always at Scranton Comedy Club. Those are really fun. That's sometime coming up. Like I said, not great at plugging them because I'm not familiar with the tri-state area very well either. So if it's a lot of New Jersey, in this area, since I'm from the South, I never even know where I am. So I just go to my Instagram and you can find them, you know.
Well, that's interesting because so you are from South Carolina. You're born and raised there too?
No, I was born in Chicago.
Okay.
But we moved to South Carolina when I was 1. So I don't really claim Chicago, although I like Chicago. But yeah, I grew up in South Carolina.
So you grew up there, and what look, we all have our stories. We all got into comedy, and some people get in because of a traumatic instance of like, oh, so and so died and it was the only way I can cope, or my dad used to take me to comedy shows and then he had brain cancer and this is my one way. And my way of getting into comedy was I was going through a breakup and I wanted to impress my girlfriend at the time and thought that she would like see, I'm funny too. That was my way. Well, I kind of wish. But that was my, like, what, so you're a South Carolina girl. What got you into doing comedy and what brought you to the Big Apple?
Well, I was a theater major, which is a completely useless degree. Completely useless. However, I loved it. And I don't do theater anymore, obviously, but I liked acting, but it was a solo performance class I was taking and I was totally in love with this teacher, David Lee Nelson. I'll get to him in a minute. He really liked my writing and just thought I was funny. He said, "You're moving to New York. You're pretty." He came over to my house and he said, "You're really pretty. You're really funny and you're a really great writer." He was a stand-up in New York for 10 years. He opened for Louis. He was you know, you wouldn't know him from like, he never like hit it with comedy, but he did do a lot in his day. And then he was one of our professors and he was young and eloquent and cool. And I was like, stand up. He told me you need to try stand up. I think 10 days after I moved here, I think I signed up for the Comedy Cellar class. And then our first performance, I was like, fuck, this is it. And I never stopped from then, except during the pandemic, I wasn't going to do a Zoom comedy show or perform on a train. Yeah. Or under a tree or anything. So that was a little bit of a gap, but yeah. David Lee Nelson sadly passed away a couple years ago. But,
oh, really?
Yeah.
He wasn't the one who did the song Dust on the Bottle, right?
Dust on the Bottle.
That's David Lee Murphy. I'm being silly.
David Lee Murphy. Okay, no. So maybe that's why I go by Keanu C Thompson, David Lee Nelson. I don't know. Same sort of deal. But
well, sometimes you don't want to have the 3 names though. I mean, I've heard some bad stories about 3 named people.
Like such as
Lee Harvey Oswald.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
Some infamous people out there. But you came to New York to do stand up, or you wanted to, like, were you trying to escape the Southern living and small town living? You're saying I want to explore.
I went to college at Charleston, and Charleston is the funnest city on earth. I stand by that. It's too much fun. But I wanted to move to New York because me and like 5 of my dude friends were like, let's just fucking move to New York. I knew I was gonna, or I guess I was gonna try and act. I wasn't really sure what I was gonna do, but then comedy just sort of took over and podcasting and all that stuff. So I would act again, but I don't know if I don't really care that much about it anymore, you know? So
I just saw a story the other day that said since, and it had nothing to do with COVID, but the Broadway is just 25 to 30% just not returning. They're finding other avenues. I'm assuming that people would go to Broadway or, watching like Misery Loves Company podcast instead of going to see Hamilton.
It's true. I can barely even watch like any shows anymore. All I watch are these fucking streams. It's maddening. And that's because I just need background noise. So I still listen to Misery Loves Company every day. I don't even know what he's yelling about, but his screaming somehow relaxes me. So
like, what writer's strike? We're watching streaming we're entertained right now. I don't.
Conti will not stop talking about the writer's strike. I'm like, who gives a fuck about these people? I don't care if they're striking. Why are you incensed about this?
So getting to New York, because I've often thought I'm still in Ohio. I don't want to say I'm stuck here. Well, I kind of am. I'm buying a house. That's why my backdrop isn't really that good right now. Because I'm in a 2-bedroom apartment and buying like a 3-bedroom home. But it's
what's
like
your other job? Or do you
so
have a job?
I was the old longtime radio guy who wouldn't have been able to afford a house, and up until about a year plus ago, now I work as a let's just say a blue collar job right now, but I get paid way too much money for it, and I'm kind of
if you could buy a house. Yeah,
that's right. Well, and it's weird because it's the opposite of what you would think. You want to, like, I knew so many people who worked blue collar jobs that would want to just get rid of them. They're like, you know what? I'm done with the blue collar job. I don't care if I take less money. I want to do stand up. I want to get into some kind of broadcasting or anything like that. Yeah. And I'm the opposite. I took those low paying broadcasting jobs. How many free sets that I've gotten where I may have gotten a drink ticket or pizza at a comedy
chicken
show?
Wings. Yeah. I mean, I used to do anything. I do less of that now. I would prefer. I like being on the road. That's been really, really great. And it's a lot better than, doing basement shows and stuff, but you still have to do those shows,
Yeah, you have to do the open mic, but also at the same time, if you're doing a one-nighter and they're like, yeah, we could probably give you maybe $20. And I'm like,
don't even insult me like that. Like, fuck you, whatever. I'll do it for free. Fine.
Yeah, it's a 2-drink minimum. We'll give you the 2 drinks. And you're like, okay, great.
Give me 4 and we'll call it a day.
Yeah, what's the hoppiest thing I can get on the menu? Like, let's see, was that 15%? Perfect.
Allow me to bring my own White Claws and
yeah, you like those White Claws, don't you?
I love them. They are my favorite thing. Yes, that was in my okay. I saw that truck outside and I was like, please. This was 30 seconds. I was like, please take this photo of me. Please. I was like, take a picture of me. And then I don't know. I was like, this is an ad. They should I can be the Dylan Mulvaney of White Claw. I do get called her all the time anyway. People always compare me with Dylan Mulvaney. Why can't I be the Dylan Mulvaney of White Claw? Maybe because
that'd be a great character on In Hot Water, though.
The Dylan Mulvaney of White Claw. Maybe. I don't know. I'm gonna put my face on a can of White Claw like her. And
well, I think you'd probably sell more White Claw than Dylan Mulvaney sold for Bud Light. So
yes, that divided a nation. God.
What's funny is I actually used to work on a truck that had White Claw on it like this. I used to work on a beer truck and I would carry this around. So I would get people honking at me because of whatever was on the side of my truck. And they honk him like, what are you? Oh, you like the beer that's on the back of the truck that's advertised on it. Great. Thanks.
You're not flirting with me.
It was nice working for a beer company because if this is true, I wouldn't have White Claw, but I did more Truly that I would deliver. And if one
seem to like True, that's the other popular one. It's not. I'll drink it if they don't have White Claw. It's not my favorite one though.
Now, are you into long drink?
What's that?
Do you know about long drink?
No.
It's
laundering money. No.
Long drink. It's great. I see. I'm a beer and shot guy. I'm just like Gino. I'm a beer and shot guy. But until I discovered gin, like it's basically gin in a can, and it's fantastic. And that's all I've been drinking. And I don't feel fattening.
If I used to be ride or die gin and tonic, a Tanqueray and tonic with a cucumber and a splash of Saint Germain was like my fucking drink of choice. Like in Charleston. So if they don't have seltzers, I'll drink a gin and tonic. Mostly though, it's just White Claw and a shot of tequila if I'm feeling sassy. But I love
sometimes
gin.
Both. Like, do you put it in the White Claw?
No,
a little fun.
No, how dare you?
Yeah, you wouldn't want to
Sully the
take away
taste of my White Claw.
the wonderful taste of the seltzer. Yes.
Yes, it's the best. I don't
White
know. Is this like one of these things like we don't really know? It hasn't been like around that long, but the people that drank copious amounts of White Claw, are we all gonna like die in 10 years? We don't know. But
is it the rumor like when they said that if you drank too much Mountain Dew, your sperm count lowered? That rumor back in the 90s. I don't know, but has
how old
anybody
are
really
you?
checked that out? I'm
This is young.
35.
Oh, okay. You're like, I'm 30. All right, you're around my age. So no,
Yeah.
I missed that Mountain Dew rumor, but in the South, people love their Mountain Dew. So
Oh yeah. Were you from the area that when they said, "What do you want? You want a Coke?" and they say, "What kind? I want Sprite."
no, but
Coke was just pop or soda down there, just
well,
a
it
blanket term.
never popped because my parents always said pop. So if I
Okay.
went to school and I said pop, it was very offensive to them.
Okay.
Like, what's that? Pop? Oh, you mean soda? Okay, yeah, I apologize. Yeah.
But I've noticed since if you grew up all throughout those years in South Carolina, is that the acting that did you have an accent that maybe you shed or did you not have one?
Like it depends on who I'm around. I didn't ever. If I'm like around a bunch of Southern people, I can sort of start getting into a Southern accent, but I've pretty much always just had a neutral accent because my parents have like Midwestern accents. But now that they've lived there so long, they kind of like every once in a while sound Southern. It's completely bizarre, but no, I didn't.
Kind of like when you go back and then you realize, well, like, whoa, you've been here a little too long. You've been saying a lot of words that
You would
that
know. I
twang
say
to it.
y'all. I say y'all constantly. If I'm
Well,
around my
I've seen
best friend,
I see northern white women using y'all all the time, but
y'all.
it's usually to lecture people. I'm like, y'all need to get with the program here. Like,
Yes,
you haven't even been south of the Mason-Dixon line unless you went to like Turks and Caicos for a college vacation.
exactly. No, there. Yeah, But that y'all is just such an. You don't even have to say y'all. Y'all. It's just such an easier word. It really shouldn't be uh shit upon. That's all. But y'all is I can't think of any. They have weird phrases like if I'm around my best friend Elliot, he's got a major Southern accent. He tells me he doesn't think he does, but his grandma will say things like, I've never heard this phrase before. I just heard it
Wait, can you say
like the
grandma
other
again? Because I think it just came out.
grandma, his
Grandma.
grandma. And he says Mimi and Papa. They'll say it's easier than pulling a grease string out of a cat's ass. Why? In what situation would there be a greased string in a cat's ass? And I suppose it would be quite easy, but that's like they say the most bizarro things.
Yeah, that's well, I've always wanted to go to Charleston. I've been there once, and I went down for a friend of mine had a movie audition, and we drove down. Was it 26 I-26 where basically
Yep.
it ends, and she had a movie audition. Didn't realize it was actually a local audition. She got a wrong email, so I auditioned for a movie with her at some building. It fell asleep in the car. We were the first people there. Went to a Waffle House and a Hardee's, and then turned around and went back.
That sounds so
And
dope.
I had an ex-girlfriend who lived in Charleston. She's from Ohio, and she's like, yeah, fuck this, I'm going to Charleston. So she lived in Charleston for about a year and a half, lived on the island, whatever island that is there.
Oh, there's Folly Beach, there's Isle of Palms, Sullivan's Island. So it's like it's the
Sullivan's,
peninsula.
yeah, that was it.
Sullivan's Island. So
You're very familiar with Sullivan's, aren't you?
yeah, yes, a couple of them. Do love a good Sullivan's moment.
But
That's when I drink Jameson. God.
Oh Jesus, yeah, I've had a little bit too much Jameson at that place myself. But
It's the only time I've ever fallen down the subway steps was when I left Gino and Bill one time. I think they bought me maybe 8 shots of Jameson and I tumbled down the subway steps. It was the saddest moment of my life.
so you're with being from Charleston, you go to New York, and you've been in New York probably about maybe 6 years, 7 years?
6, 7 years now. So wait, it may be longer, but I did.
I
go
feel like
home
a creeper
every
that
day.
I actually was kind of on that. I was just kind of guessing.
Yeah, no, it was well, since I graduated college. My God, I think, but then I took a gap. I was home for 6 months twice in that time. So for COVID, and then because I had to go home because I had I had to go home because I was in I was like in eating disorder day camp, basically. So I
Oh,
had to go
really?
home for that. Yeah. Which was fun. It was a lot of mental illness with those girls. My God. So I was home for that for 6 months, and I was home for COVID for 6 months because I wasn't gonna sit in my fucking
Don't blame you.
apartment and do nothing. So give or take 6 or 7 years. Yeah.
And you made it back, and you've now like kind of gotten on the radar of a lot of people, and you have been in with the compound media universe. And what brought you to Chrissie Mayr? I know she's grown her. So I met Chrissie in 2019 when they were starting to roll out the comedians of the compound, and I first met her in White Plains. I think her and Frank were doing a show up there, and they brought Gino, they brought Dave Landau and Don
Yep.
Jameson at the time, and Aaron Berg,
Yep.
and so Chrissie at the time was kind of like a bit character on In Hot Water. She would play the like certain people that and certain women, and it was kind of funny. And then since then, she's really grown and kind of spread her wings, and now is like found a completely new audience. And she's like,
a
well,
star. She's everywhere. Yeah. I mean,
so she's like, I'll bring Keanu on the road. That's a huge thing for you.
I think we just sort of, I've known her for years because of we going on compound. She was always there. Then, I've had done the wet spot a lot. And when we went on she asked me to open for her a few times, like within this year, in New Jersey and things. And we just really started like clicking and getting along. We hang out and do really well together. Like, I don't laugh harder in the car with anyone more than me and Chrissie, just being complete goofballs. We get completely slap happy. She's hardworking and hilarious on stage. And she wants the best for everyone. She like builds people up, and it's not like it's not a weird thing that it's. When I was on the road with her for 2 weeks, we did a weekend in Vegas and a week in Dallas with the lovely Lila Hart. It's 3 chicks have never gotten along so well together. And it wasn't weird to not have any dudes on a few of those shows, because it's like, we're all so completely different. And I don't know, it just really clicks. So she's like honestly become like one of my best friends, but I really love working with her. So, and she's a YouTube sensation star, my God. And she knows everyone. So, oh yes. And then they made us take our pants off at the airport.
So for folks who hadn't seen this headline, I'm sharing the screen right now this is from Newsweek. It says, women claim airline told them to change their clothes to fly home, which was humiliating. This was back in May. And, says a traveler was left shocked when she and her friend were asked to change outfits before boarding a plane. Comedians Chrissie Mayr and Keanu Thompson told how they were forced to change their outfits in public with no cover at the demand of American Airlines flight attendants. And so, yeah, this ended up becoming not just national but international news. And there you are. You're right involved in it.
We're talking to Daily Mail, and fucking people are interviewing us, and we were laughing, but we went back and forth from like, should we be traumatized? Like, I have an OnlyFans, all right? I have no problem really with nudity that much, but
you got to pay for it.
We had to get on this flight. And the fact that what we ended up in, I had checked my bag. So we had bought I had bought the girls these shorts, and she in these sparkly shorts in Vegas. And we took them out of the bag, and I just slipped them on. And I always say this, I say it all the time. I was on my fucking period. My tampon string was raking across the floor. I say it all the time. Chrissie,
just like the greasy string from the cat's ass.
Yes, exactly. Easy as that. I took my pants off like easy as pulling a grease string out of a cat's ass or a tampon.
You got to update the reference.
We were like, what? So, because we were like the last two. I don't know if this guy was a creep, but we just like sprung into action. And the funniest thing was, he stopped her. And then when I said, what's going on? He went, you too. So I'm like, my skirt was floor length. It was sheer, but it was floor length, and it had the underwear sewn into it.
Ooh.
So there was nothing I could do. And so she's like blocking me. But then what we ended up in was more revealing. It was completely bizarre. But I mean, we made the best of it. We're comedians, so we can make fun of anything. But if we were a different kind of people, that might have been even more traumatizing. Or they didn't go, oh, wait, run to the bathroom, we'll hold the gate or whatever. They just let us. It was a high pressure situation. And then it ended up being fine because we talked about it on every podcast. We did Drinking Bros and we did Alex Stein's show on the Blaze. Primetime 99. He's like one of the coolest people we've ever met.
So he just followed me on Twitter. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I love him. Oh my God, I love Alex Stein. So we talked about it like the whole time. We laughed about it. And then the only reason people picked it up is because Chrissie's famous. So we were tweeting about it on the plane. We're like, we were yes, we had a couple drinks. I was like, I was butt fucking naked at the gate. It was on my fucking period. Had I known people were going to like quote that in articles or talk about my fucking tampon string, I might have been a little bit more eloquent, but we were just like, holy shit, what the fuck is happening?
So was there a resolution? Like, did they settle anything? Was there a lawsuit, or are you just kind of like everybody shrugged their shoulders, they got their publicity and that's it?
Anthony, we did not get 1 mile, not one. They did not offer us 1 mile. No, we weren't going to do anything. People were like, you should sue. We're like, we're busy. It's worth my quality of life to go after American Airlines. I think they were probably like, oh, fuck. If they're not going to do anything, I guess we won't say anything. But I mean, I just don't, because I'm not traumatized from it. I don't know, maybe it'll come up in therapy later. But then I don't feel the need to sue. You know what I mean?
Well, it's like one of those things where it's not a big deal now, but then if you got destitute years later, it's like, yeah, remember that story in 2023 when we were groped, and like it takes on these all different. So it's like at least what, as opposed to what, like, I guess a normal person, when I say normal, a non-comedian would do about it. They would sue. They would talk about all these things. I was fondled, there was insertion, all this kind of stuff. And you and Chrissie are like, instead of being offended, how about we just go on podcasts and just talk about it the whole time? And you really, in a way, it's part of therapy where you actually talked yourselves through it, the whole process, and kind of laughed about it, as opposed to, again, you're on the leather couch 5 years from now.
I know, lying down. I can't believe my tampon string was raking across the floor, doctor. No, he's like, well, okay, can we not focus on that? How about we let the airplane thing go? No, we talked about it on stage. We still talk about it on stage. Me and Chrissie did a gig at Tiff's in Morris Plains. I opened for her. And when she was on stage, I was watching her. She started talking about it. And then we started going back and forth about it. And it was funny because everybody in the audience, they're there to see her. So through her, obviously, they know me. They know about the whole viral moment. So it was hilarious. It was like a completely hilarious, like back and forth, like little improv about it,
Yeah, I mean, it kind of works. And when you're a comic, you're always looking for material. So there's material for you.
Exactly.
But no, I mean, I'm happy for you guys. Again, this whole podcast universe, you never know who's on whose team. But I am somebody who's I like seeing, I don't want to say rags to riches stories, but you're somebody that, again, you came from South Carolina and didn't know what was going on. And now you're on the road with arguably, I mean, there's not a lot of female comedians out there who are getting that kind of publicity like Chrissie is. And the fact that
she was viral like twice that week.
Mm-hmm.
She's viral all the time. So
what was that? And what didn't she, was that the Chick-fil-A joke that she had that people were like, oh, like Keith Olbermann's like, oh, how dare she make a joke like that?
Well, yes, she was. And then that happened too. And she made it was a harmless, hilarious joke about fried chicken. She said, I think it was, they kept it in, so they weren't obviously that offended. What is that network? Newsmax?
Yeah, Newsmax, yeah.
Yeah, so she was viral for that. And she had been on, I don't know how many times that week. And that was viral. All of Malaysia was just recently during her bachelorette party in Atlantic City. She's getting fucking hundreds of hate messages from Malaysia because she defended Jocelyn Chia, who is also a hilarious comedian, for making a joke about the Malaysian Airlines airplane that disappeared, which she's always told this joke. I get messages from Malaysian people still, it's the most ridiculous thing. So she has been she always sticks to, she doesn't back down. She's not like, she defends comedians' rights to say what they fucking want to say, you know, as
Yeah.
long as it's funny and it's not hurting anyone. You don't necessarily mean every single thing that you say. When you're a comic, you don't want to hurt anybody. It's meant to make people laugh.
No, you're supposed to say what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to say the funniest thing possible. And
I don't mind an ooh more like in a, as
That's
long
all-
as I get a reaction, that kind of like gets me going. I'm like, ah.
that's all I get on stage. Usually I'm like, I would rather the ooh than nothing.
Yeah.
Anything like,
like,
oh, it's usually like,
God.
oh, come on. Oh God. Well, and I worked in regular radio for such a long time that I had to go in every morning and be clean. So I'm going to go on stage and be dirty that night. Like, whoa,
Right.
you know how to be clean. It's like, yeah, I don't want to be clean now. It's after 8:00. I'm on stage. We've got 2 shows tonight. I'm going to be as filthy as humanly possible. Because tomorrow morning, when I wake up at 4:00 and I got to be on the radio, I got to talk about last night's American Idol, or hey, did you watch The Bachelorette? Ugh. And I'm like, no,
God.
I could do that. So, but yeah, I mean, but joking about those personal things, like, do you talk about the eating disorder in your act at all?
Oh yeah, sometimes. Well, that I don't have that I have like, I have tentative jokes about that, but I find it hilarious. I have so much material on eating disorder therapy, but I haven't quite. It'll be in my special one day. I don't. It does it. To me, it's funny, but to other people, it's like, oh my God,
That's for the one woman show, right?
What's that?
That's for the one woman show. You're saving that one.
Maybe I'll do a one woman show, or like maybe I'll write a memoir, a funny a comical memoir, something like that. But I have some stand-up jokes about it, but it is like a subject where people are like, oh no, but I'm like, no, I'm fine, it's okay, like, not dead, thank God I went to the therapy for it. But that's a joke I have, or I have a party joke about gender reveal parties, and but it also has like, it has a hint of abortion in it. That joke is always a gamble. Yeah.
Like I've been working on one where it was like something where, you know, it's pink is female, blue is, it's like, then what if it's like a stillborn? Is it like red velvet? That something like that.
Parallel thought.
See?
It's a yes. I have a whole joke on it. And I guess I won't say it, but no, I say, you know, it's a decision reveal party. White balloons, we're pregnant. Black balloons, we are no longer pregnant. You know how you cut into the cake, it's either pink or blue. Well, if we're having the baby birthday cake, we're having an abortion, red velvet.
Yep.
And if it's angel food cake, she miscarried. Everybody go home. That's what gets people.
I love that. See, yeah. I love that because it's funny because, well, it's not really funny, but my mom had a stillborn before me. And then 3 years later, I come around and the umbilical cord wrapped around my neck. And actually I was dead and they had to revive me. And so I've made jokes about that by like, why, you know, imagine what this world would be like if they didn't revive me, or like, you know, I was a big Robin Williams fan. That's why the umbilical cord wrapped around my neck. And I don't know. It's
you were traumatized from the get-go.
Exactly. I mean, again, this is the material that you would see when I would go on stage and you go like, wow, you're a little different from when you were on the radio this morning when you talked about last night's baseball game. Yeah, a little different. See, the reason we go on stage is we have this thing called mental illness. And
exactly. I was the Jack Nicholson in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest of the eating disorder rehab. I was like gathering people to like rebel. There was this one girl and I called her Chief because she wouldn't talk to anybody. What you do in eating disorder rehab is you sit there all day in therapy with a bunch of sad girls who are like, you know, shaking and crying. And then they make you eat 3 meals together a day. There's this one girl, she was like Native American. I swear to God, I shit you not. And that's why I always say this. And I would always sit with her, and I was the only one that she would even look at or talk to a little bit. And she would like sit there. She wasn't going to eat it, just wouldn't eat it, would never touch it. She'd sit there, stare blankly into space and never eat, never touch it. So then she went to the next level of where they put you in Florida for like 3 months and monitor you Yeah, so I didn't get to spend that much time with her, but it's definitely it's not an easy thing to overcome, and I don't think the therapy for it is quite. There's not a surefire way to cure somebody of an eating disorder. You know what I mean?
Would that be something where is it because for especially women, did they do it because a previous boyfriend said they looked fat, or is there something that maybe they looked fat themselves, or like I don't understand that because I'm as somebody who does not have an eating disorder, someone who probably should cut down on the fast food and booze like I do. What brings somebody into that? I'm asking because we hear about these stories all the time, but I don't think normal people really dig into as to why. We just kind of think, oh, somebody said you look fat, and then here I am, I'm Karen Carpenter.
Oh, I'll tell you. Okay. So for me, I'm actually sort of naturally on the thinner side. I'm like my take after my dad with I've got like, he's taller and lankier, and I've kind of got long, like chicken legs. Where my mom is skinny, but she's shorter and like curvier because she's Italian. She's like 5'3". She's 5'2". I'm 5'6". So, it's never been a skinny or fat thing. I don't know why. I just hate the feeling of being full. I can't, if I'm full, I just feel like I can't focus. I just want to, it just kills me. I'm better now, but still all I eat is Skittles and drink White Claw. But if that's how I cope with the eating disorder, it's not all I eat. I always make a joke about that. But if that's how you cope with the eating disorder, then I don't see anything wrong with that. If I'm not puking, or I would throw up more for like more from anxiety, or I just wouldn't eat anything for days and days and days. So, which it's never so it could be an eating disorder could be born of an ex-boyfriend calling you fat or saying you looked fat, right? But it also, I tend to be an anxious person. So I would always be throwing up, even when I just was, if I'm just worried about something, I can just puke. My dad's the same way. He, if he's nervous about something he owned a pyrotechnics company during the whole month of July, he would get up in the morning and throw up in the yard because he was so anxious, because it's like a fucking stressful business.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that, I think it was more born of that, and then it just became like, if you eat something, this is what you do now. And then it became like, okay, should probably fix this, because I kept ending up in the hospital and fucking. So my dad came and got me. We did the whole eating disorder rehab thing, which was horrible but sort of entertaining. And I came back and I'm doing fine. So
you can eat a little bit. It's still a little bit of a struggle, but you can still eat a little bit and not force yourself. Were you a puker or
both? So I would either eat nothing for, days at a time, or
oh my God,
if I did eat something, then I would throw it up. So and then like when I would end up in the hospital, I'm like, I don't know, I don't feel good. They're like, yeah, you didn't eat for 3 days and you did a bunch of blow, and then drank a bottle of gin. I don't know how you expect to feel. I don't, the blow thing, that is very, that is way in my past, by the way, Kevin Brennan. So it just became like an issue, but it was always an issue. You shouldn't be throwing up after you eat. You can't be doing that. So, yeah, so I don't do that anymore. I do eat a lot of candy and I drink a lot of White Claw, but I eat healthy stuff too every once in a while. So
do you feel full from the White Claw? Like, is that something where you're like, okay, liquid lunch today? Or do you got to eat something?
Oh no, I don't mind. Yeah, I like the White Claw because it's light. If I drink Jameson, I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna pass away. I don't know how they take shots like that. But no, so in a lot of eating disorder people, it can be born out of anxiety. It can be born out of, you're just a teenager, and yeah, there you go.
Got some Jack
Have
today.
A shot.
Yeah. There you go. I'll start ripping shots. I got Jim B. I had a whole cabinet that we got to move here pretty soon. When we move.
Well, cheers.
Oh, God, Lord.
Cheers.
Yeah. Good Lord, what
There
am I
you go.
doing? I'm playing softball tonight, and I'm gonna just be completely retarded when I'm stepping up
Softball
to the plate.
with a team.
Yes, yeah, beer league softball, and yeah, no, but although in fairness, I think the rest of my team is going to the bar like right now, anyways. So
Oh, okay.
we'll all be on a nice level tonight.
We like
So I have to ask, you got on the radar of Gino in the last few years of coming up to Compound, and what brought it to a point of I'm a guest on his show with Alan, we're talking about our podcast, or you're going on with Kevin and you're getting hit on by Blindy, Brian McCarthy.
He just came on our show and I just did his. He lived in my neighborhood. We live on the Upper East Side, so fabulous.
Ooh,
I just
very posh.
He lives down the block a little ways from me. Okay, hang on.
So how did it get to the level of that you are now romantically involved with a comedian? Because I'm married now, but before I got married, I kind of stayed away from female comics. I had a thing with one local comic here in Ohio, but it's just like it's weird because it's that vulnerability when you go on stage and you're kind of pouring yourself out, and then you're seeing other women pouring their vulnerability, and I'm like, I don't date people at the office. That's kind of how I've always been. Like any job place I've ever worked, I've never dated anybody there because I feel it's largely going to be it's not going to be of my benefit. There's going to be something, and then one of us is going to have to quit at some point.
Yeah.
So how did you get involved with Gino?
It's always exciting. Like when I was a bottle girl in Charleston, like I boned every male employee there. Like but that's different. That's a nightclub you're working in. Comedy. And so the only other comic I boned a lot of comedians, actually. Not a lot, a handful. But
A lot of open micers.
What's that?
Open micers or headliners?
Out of the handful, a couple of open micers and a couple of headliners. But so a handful of them. But as we all have, all female comics have boned comics, even if they're saying they haven't, they have. Dating the other one that I dated, he who I shall not be named, was a complete lunatic monster. So I should have probably stayed away from comics after that, but he was a violent fucking crazy person.
You could say his name, Bill Cosby.
Bill Cosby, yes, I do like them old and blind,
and
like
black,
Ryan,
and black,
and black.
But
Gino we had been hooking up for years, on and off, and we always liked each other. We always kept up with each other and got along. And I kind of liked him. I was like, I don't know why this motherfucker doesn't want to date me. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I never asked him to want to date me because I'm not like a desperate woman, but I was like, why isn't he more obsessed with me? And then after we ended up both being single, so between the lunatic and then I had one other boyfriend, and then after we broke up, me and Gino just happened to be single, and I don't know, he asked me on a date, and I was like,
wow,
really? Ooh, okay.
Was it to someplace other than Sullivan's?
Yeah, we went and got steak. It was delightful. And then we just started, like, he's like, how do I ask you to be my girlfriend? I'm like, just ask me to be your girlfriend. He's like, will you be my girlfriend? I said, there you go. We get along so well, though. He's like my best friend, and we live close. He's not up my ass all the time, not wondering where I am or what I'm doing. He understands. He's incredibly supportive of OnlyFans or, comedy. We do shows together even, and it's fine. I mean, I can't say nicer things about him. I know you haven't had the best experience with Gino.
Truthfully, with Gino, I love Gino. And I know what he's capable of. I know he's going to war with a lot of people, and he's going on his Gino is right tour, basically.
Yes, and listen, whoever he has a problem with, I don't ever necessarily have a problem with. I'm like, whatever these old men want to fight about, let them fight about it. I mean, just until they tucker themselves out. So it doesn't affect me. And if I have a way of, when he starts bitching about something, he just has to get it out. It doesn't really matter if anyone's listening. So I sort of just disassociate, and then it's out of his system. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
So
He is
I never had an issue with Gino. My whole thing was, and I'll tell the story just for the podcast too, but I've told you before in a DM, is that I did have Gino on to promote a Comedians of the Compound, and I've had him on my podcast before. A couple of times I've had him on. I enjoyed it. During COVID, I had him on. We did like a 3-hour podcast just because there was nothing else going on. I brought like a 6-pack of beer and I was on my patio and just talked to him, and we just continued talking. And a lot of that same content that we said in that earlier podcast came back up on another podcast, but this was kind of more of the Gino is right type of podcast, in that we were coming off of COVID and we started finding out a lot of stuff that we were told during the first podcast in 2020 was all bullshit. So then we were just kind of just talking, and Gino being Gino, and did a couple of shows. And I said, how about we do an exclusive podcast that's only on Patreon? And that way we can talk about, which we talked about, the Rooney Rule in football, which is where they have to interview a minority candidate before, and, just so they can cover the books and stuff. Well, Gino was being Gino and was cracking his jokes, and I never edited it out. In fact, I laughed along with it and thought it was funny because it was funny. And I didn't realize when I had gotten promoted to being a program director at my then radio station, somebody was on my Patreon who was a mole, and they were snooping around at my content to see if I was doing anything controversial, so they could send it to my bosses. And so therefore it turned into Tony is a racist who does a racist podcast.
Oh boy.
When in reality, it was just, I had Gino on and we were having a good time. It was like watching In Hot Water. It was no problem. But
that should be your prerogative to, in your own time, to, and it wasn't you saying anything, and he doesn't say it in a hateful way. His whole
no, it was the Thomas Jefferson joke.
Yes. It's a joke. I defend the right of comedians to say jokes. I don't really love it. Yeah, I don't like the any derogatory gay word either. My brother's gay, and all my friends are gay. And I just feel like, but he has his reasons for joking about it, because he does love everyone. He literally loves everyone. So is it my cup of tea? No, but I respect the right to say what you want.
No, my wife
not hurting anyone. Yeah,
I say a lot of stuff around my place. I mean, not I'll joke about horrible things, and my wife will just she'll roll her eyes, go like, really? Please don't tweet that. I don't want you getting fired from this job either.
My brother always said, because I just won't stop sometimes. He said, it's just something we all have to weather until she tuckers herself out.
I mean, so the whole thing was, I had Gino on because he was promoting a gig that never actually ended up happening, because that was when Aaron Berg had some health issues and they had to cancel the gig. So that just, it spiraled out of control to the point where people in my company that I worked for had this vision of me. I'm like, I've worked here for 7 years. Have you ever heard any like horrible things like that come out of my mouth?
Like, I'm personable as hell. Oh my God. Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to say I'm personable, because when you work morning radio and you get there at 4:30 in the morning, I'm a zombie. And I told people when I got that job, I said, I may not be the most personal person because I'm not a morning person. I happen to work mornings. I get through it, and I look forward to my nap. If you want to talk to me after my nap, I am just I'm a great person. We'll hang out.
We're having the gusto of life, sunshine and rainbows, but
joie de vie, I guess. But the whole thing for me was, and that's why I kept making sure. And I told Gino at the time, I said, I don't blame you for this. I'm ultimately responsible. I booked you on the show, and I booked you to be you. I didn't book you to be partially you and then partially somebody else. I booked you to be you, and you were you. And I got in trouble. I fall on the sword. I take the responsibility. Could I have edited the podcast? Could I have even deleted that podcast? Sure. But
then when you get on these shows in the like corner of the internet that we're all sort of a part of, you have Zumock and being like, well, he got Tony fired. And then, Gino gets upset about that. Cause like, I suppose you could have taken it out. And I suppose Gino could have not made the joke, but you're right that you have to take responsibility for it, because you got to watch out for stuff like that. if you're working on a morning radio show and you gotta, Shane Gillis apparently, they found him saying some derogatory things, but he doesn't, I don't know the man, honestly, but I've heard he's a really funny comic and a really nice guy. But yeah, that's the way of the world right now, and it sucks. But
I remember the email I even got. It was the day before I did get fired, and they said, we want to alert you about a podcast that you did where you refer to Black people as monkeys. And I said, and so I listened to it and I realized, oh no, you didn't hear right. I said Gino performs at a comedy club called Three Monkeys.
Oh my, is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they thought I'm calling Black people monkeys. And I said, no, that's the club. One of the
I do that show all the time.
Exactly. So apparently we're all racist because we talk about a comedy club in New York City called Three Monkeys. I'm like,
no,
what the fuck is going on?
You thought that. It's the name of a damn comedy club.
Exactly.
My God.
Exactly. Well, and that was another one. Somebody got really mad at me because I posted a Harambe meme in 2020 where it was like that rest in peace. It was 4 years since Harambe had been shot. And someone's like, you do realize how insensitive that is after George Floyd is dead. And I said,
You're calling him a monkey, not me.
I'm not calling him that. You're the one, because you think because I said rest in peace Harambe, you're equating this ape that was at the Cincinnati Zoo with the guy from Minneapolis who was dead in the street. I'm like, no, that's you. You're the one who's making that about race. I didn't make any.
Assuming
it didn't even think about it.
Right. Exactly. Oh my God. No.
But honestly, I'm better. I'm going to say this, Gino, if you're listening, I thank you because I work a job now, even though I'm not in radio anymore. I get more people coming out to my comedy shows that hear me on a podcast that either I'm a guest on or my own podcast than I did in 7 years of working in local yokel Northeast Ohio radio. And I make way better money. And I have largely no stress. I mean, you got to pay bills and stuff, but I really don't have to wake up for work. It's great. So, Gino, if you're watching
better
this,
anyway, you can do whatever you want. You have creative license. You're not under the thumb of, you're not sitting there talking about Ryan Seacrest and American Idol or, it's much better for you anyway. And it's fun. Even the podcast awards, it doesn't bother me at all.
No,
it does. Call me Bonely fans all you want. I prefer you don't post my naked photos online, Kevin Brennan, and then wonder why you're banned on Twitter. I'll never understand that. I didn't even do anything. He thinks I reported him. I prefer you don't do that, but I guess if you want to be an asshole, go ahead. I take things in stride, and he knows that. That's why he can never really, everything he's ever said bad about me, I know he doesn't mean because I'm always a good sport. He's always said that to me. And you should have Gino on the podcast. He would love to talk to you about that. And I don't know Chad Zumach. I know you're buddies with him. Mm-hmm. I don't know why he would hate me at all. I don't think he hates you. Yeah, I know. I think it's more the shrapnel. It's why I've always said with me and Chad, I've known Chad for probably about almost 15 years, and I've been friends with him for 10. And I've always said that I am a very loyal person. And if that means my loyalty to Chad means I'm not going to go on somebody else's podcast who is feuding with Chad. So like, let's say, because him and Chrissie were like having a tiff for a long time. Yeah.
If it means that Chrissie was going to have me on her podcast, but because I'm friends with Chad that I can't go on, okay, I guess I won't go on. It's just I'm loyal to somebody that I've been friends with for a long time, and I haven't known Chrissie that long. I'm not going to dump somebody who I'm friends with and have this relationship with. I mean, Chad kind of is the same way with you and Chrissie, where Chad's given me gigs of featuring and stuff and one-nighters and everything, and I'm happy about that. But I think a lot of it is there's a lot of cosplaying in this podcast universe that we don't know where we're going with this next. We don't know what the next feud is going to be.
Right.
I'm somebody that myself, Earl Skakel, a couple others, we pay attention to it. We just want to do our own thing. And that's why I'm happy with doing a podcast with you, talk about comedy, talk about the process and where you come from and everything like that. I mean, we mentioned the podcast wars, but we didn't really dive into it.
And I'm kind of happy about it. Kvetch over it and cry over it. No.
So it's a little break from it. Going back, as I said earlier, it's like going back to the days of podcasting from 2 years ago.
Yeah, right. Where you pre-recorded and you yell at people and By the way, though, I do have to say that when I was watching you and Chad with the Stuttering John thing, it was hysterical, and bravo. My God.
Oh yeah.
Just watching Chad just like trying not to laugh was just okay. It was iconic. It was hilarious.
I equated it to when the band The Eagles would do Hotel California, and they have two guitarists, Don Felder and Joe Walsh, and they like kind of trade off solos during it. And that's what Chad and I were kind of doing during that podcast, is we're like kind of trading off how much we control Stuttering John here. Like how far are we going to take it where it's not going to be too obvious, but we're like looking at each other through the Zoom or through the StreamYard and going, okay, your turn now. All right, back to me. Let's do it. Okay, John, tell me about this. And of course, he completely ignored my questions.
He has no idea what's going on. My God. So fucking funny. So funny. I think Chrissie did his show today. So they've made up, you know?
Oh, of course. Well, again, if you kiss John's ass enough, you'll be back on a show.
She doesn't give two fucks about him either. It's so funny. He probably just asked her like, oh, and snot and started spitting and
whatever. Think about his recent guests that he's had. He's had a potato on. He's had me and Chad. He's had Chrissie. So it's all the people that, I mean, eventually it's going to be Shuley and Bob Levy are going to be on.
I'm going to ask him. No, I fucking, and I'm a huge, huge Stern fan, like for my whole life. But Stuttering John was not really someone I was really up on. So I didn't really get, I never really watched Uncle Rico or whatever, but now I like really understand.
You get it now.
Well, I fucking like, yeah, what in the fuck is wrong with this human being? So I'm glad he's doing well. I wish him well.
Congratulations. Yes. God bless. God bless.
God bless.
Well, as we wrap it up here, of course, here's your Instagram account, and if people want to follow you,
Keanu C Thompson, you can see my city shows there too. I always post them in a story, and Keanu Cast is 7 p.m. on Wednesdays live on YouTube every Wednesday, and then we do surprise late night streams. Me and Mickey just drunk kvetching, and people drop in. It's really fun. You should come do it sometime.
Yeah, just send him the link.
I'll send you the link.
Send me the link. Yes, indeed.
Know the deal. Yes.
If you can indulge me before you leave, though.
Yes.
I gotta see. Whoa, goodness, sorry about that. I gotta see the tattoo if you can.
Wait. Oh, the Visconti tattoo.
Yes.
Okay.
Can you, or is this?
Let me show you in a not untoward way. Hang on.
Yes. She's if you're listening on the audio right now, Keanu has a tattoo that says Visconti, and so
I love a good like drunk Vegas tattoo. It has nice meaning, and I'm a free spirit, so this is why I did it.
That's true. Absolutely. That's why we're pulling for you, because we don't want the next Instagram story to there it is. How about that? Visconti with the heart. How much that cost you?
Like $150. It
That's
was me,
bad.
Chrissie, and Lila Hart, and I was like, it's time. We're gonna go. I begged them to get a tattoo. I begged them. They were like, oh my God. I was like, this is awesome. Visconti says he's going to get a tattoo for me. He has yet to, but
he has only 2 tattoos, right? Doesn't he have a tramp stamp?
He has a tramp stamp of a goddamn Chargers lightning bolt. Like, cover that with my name, you loser.
Exactly. Come on. They're not even the San Diego Chargers anymore. They don't have the same meaning.
I like tell him I'm a Rams fan every day of my life now, because I don't know why. I'm not very sporty, so it's hard for me, but I say I'm a Rams fan, and there's a reason. Now I've taken to saying that I'm a Mets fan, because that really upsets him too. So
see, that's what it is. You the trick to a good relationship is to be
troll
the opposite.
Your partner. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, my wife loves Ohio State, and every chance I get is if they lose, enjoy. You're not going to enjoy the rest of the day, because I'm going to have a little bit of fun with this.
It's great.
But Keanu, thanks for doing the podcast today. And again, go check out her YouTube show. I'm going to link to it here in the comments and in the description. But I thank you for doing that, and thank you for doing the show. And
tell Chad and the rest I said hi, and
I will do so.
On here, he would love to talk to you. And come on, Keanu Cast. I'm gonna send you some dates. I'll send you the link.
Yeah, send me some dates. I'll give you my avails here.
Whee!
Maybe I'll be at Three Monkeys sometime if I'm not too racist.
You
for going there.
racist! How dare you?
So Keanu C Thompson, thank you for doing the show, and thank you for watching the Check Your Brain podcast or listening to it on the podcast platforms. Again, if you like what you hear, go and subscribe on YouTube, on Rumble, on the podcast platforms. And if you want to hear more of this wonderful content, go to patreon.com/Tony Mazur, TonyMazur. Thanks, everybody. I'll be back with you with another free podcast coming up next week. Bye now.